and I'm going to show you, first of all, the raw data. So if you can imagine, we have, so here's a credit card. This is the activity for a month. And this is just the raw data, unsecured. We would put this behind the curtain from our architectural slide. So the raw data stays behind the curtain. Users don't have access to the raw data. We're going to give them access to the secure views. But here you have the 35 rows of transaction data. You can see there's one cash advance here. Row number 28 is a cash advance. Everything else is a fee, payment, sales. You can see who it was paid to. You can see how much was paid. You can see the categories, okay, for those expenses. All right. And then we have another set of raw data. That's the distinct payees from this. So there's how many payee rows? 33 distinct payees out of those 35 transactions. And those payees we've categorized into their category of what type of payee they are and what region they're accessing. So, or where they reside. So it could be north, south, east, west, or there's this kind of wild card, any region. All right. So that's the raw data that we're going to be working with today. Any questions? Okay. We're also going to be working with the concept that the database knows who the current user is. So right now I'm logged in as me and my role is DBO. All right. So let's look at what policies are in place for me. I have policies in place, policies called, this is for the user DBO, called identity masked. I have region access to north and south, and I have regions access only to fees, payments, and sales. So right now, I'm essentially acting as Vic. And so we're going to actually make that happen. We have the concept of what's called impersonation. So I'm telling it, treat DBO as if he's Vic. And so if we look at the current policies, we should see here that Vic has access to only fees, payments, and sales, transaction types. He has masked identity access, and he has access to the north and south region. All right, there's some other stuff in there that we won't cover, but you can see that those policies are in place. Let's go to the UI for a second, the user interface, and let's show that, in fact, Vic only has access to those policies. Here it is. So this is our infoSecur UI. We log in. I'm logged in as myself here. And in the home screen, we can see that we have several types of what we call categories. These are ways that you could secure the data. And one of them is transaction type, and one is financial, and one is region. You can see that we have a domain set for transaction type. You can see that financial is a flag, yes or no. I either do or don't have access to financial data. And you can see that if we scroll down here, region has north, south, east, west, and any. So you can see that it sort of ties back to the raw data, okay? And then we have classes, which is sets of those metadata that allow for access to fees, payments, sales, and then alternatively cash advances, masked or clear identity, and region access to any north, south, east, and west. So we can now, we've built rules that allow people to see these, all right? So let's look at the users. We have Anna, Vic, and Ivan, okay? And Vic is a viewer. So as the viewer role, if we go to the viewer role has access to fees, payments, and sales, masked identity, and the north and south region. So let's look at how that actually takes place now. Remember, we're masquerading as Vic for the purpose of this demo right now. And so let's run a query against the secure view over the payees table. Remember, payees, there was 33 of them, but Vic, as a viewer, can only see those in the north and south region, and he has masked identity access. He can only see the first two characters. Likewise, for transactions, the secure view for transactions gives him access to fees, payments, and sales. But remember that row number 28, which was a cash advance, he doesn't have that. So he only sees 34 of the 35 transactions. And by the way, he didn't have financial access, so he doesn't see the amounts. So let's put that all together. That's kind of neat, but wouldn't we kind of want to join payees and transactions together? All right, fair enough. Let's make a little join between the two. And let's return that result set. Here you go. Here's all of our transactions. Well, not all of them. Let me put this out of the way. Here's 34 of the 35 transactions. Why only 34? Because cash advances weren't allowed for viewer access. So that cash advance transaction went away, as did all of the payees that were not in the north and south regions. You'll see we see no payee data for those. We only see the payees where you have north and south regions, and for those, their data is simply masked. So now we put that all together, and we've said for Vic, who can only see restricted data, he only gets to see that set. All right, so that's what we mean by cell level security. You're only seeing the cells that you've allowed Vic to see. He can see transaction types, but only some of them. He can see regions, but only some of them, and he can see identity, but only masked. Let's be Anna now. So now we're impersonating Anna. We're going to run the same query that we just ran for Vic that had restricted access. Anna sees all 35 rows. See that transaction, that cash advance row? There it is right there. So Anna gets to see all of them. She sees full identity, and she sees all the regions. So Anna gets to see everything. And if for some reason we wanted to change that, and we decided that the role of admin no longer could see, I don't know, clear identity, we would just remove that from Anna's access, rerun the same query, and now, as you can see, the identity is null. She can't see anything. Oh, maybe we want Anna to actually, okay, we don't want her to see clear identity, but we don't want her to see nothing. Let's give her a masked identity. So we do that, run the query again, and there we go. She can see the first two characters, or whatever masking algorithm you choose to apply. We can do anything that you can write a snippet of SQL code for. So a case statement, we can strip out the first characters, last characters. We can add a random number to a value. We've done all that type of thing. Okay, so with just a quick switch of these policies, you can see that we've given Anna different access. Let's give her clear access back, run this again, and there we go. She sees all the identities and all the regions and access as well. You notice she also has financial access right now. Let's restrict that right now. Instead of giving her financial access, let's actually, let me just do it this way. Let's delete her financial access. And in 2 clicks, we run this again, and guess what? She doesn't see the amounts anymore. Any questions so far? Okay. And it's just this easy to give her her financial access back. All right, so that's back. Now let's, so that's Anna, the admin. Let's be Ivan the imposter. Remember, Ivan, he's known in the system. He's a user in the system, but we just haven't granted him any access. So if we go to Ivan, the user, we look at him, he has no roles or classes assigned to him. Okay, so he's a user in the system that we recognize, but he's not somebody that we've given any access to. So what should he see when we run the same query? Any guesses? Nothing. You can give him access to all your reports, but Ivan's going to click on those reports and he's going to see no rows in them.
Kind of a
This is where
default scenario.
Exactly. That's your, well, yeah, that's your default when a user is defined, right? We default deny. Everything's default deny. We haven't talked about Fred the fake. Fred's a guy who doesn't even have an account. Remember when we went over here, users, we didn't even know about Fred. So if Fred was by some chance to get access to this system, what would Fred see? Well, we're default deny. He should see the same thing as Ivan, nothing.
Yeah.
So that really concludes our demo, unless you are interested in seeing any other capabilities. I would just say with this, we can actually audit and see that on the 15th of October, we made some changes to secure roles. We can also see that on the 15th of October, today, we made some changes to, I guess we didn't change any classes, so we don't see any of those, but you can see when we have made changes to the class the rules, right? The rules themselves. And then we can also see when we have impersonated someone. So you can see down here on 10, well, I need to sort this, I guess. We can see when, there it is, 10:15. We impersonated Fred, Ivan, and Anna. And Vic. So all 4 of those impersonations are registered as well. So if you have an auditor that wants to see what changes you've made to your policies or who has them applied, we can run reports against this metadata and show those as well. And it's all managed and controlled through our new user interface. If you want to see support, we have a support link where we go into our documentation on how to use and configure and generate the views that work in the security. And you can there's some admin capabilities where you can set up permissions for given users who actually administrate the policies. So you can grant or revoke policy administration rights through this.
Yeah, that was exactly the question I was going to ask. I assumed it was there. Thanks.
Yeah. And then you can also manage impersonation capabilities through this as well. So not everyone should be able to be impersonated. You probably don't want someone impersonating your CEO. So that's default deny as well until you've actually created the ability to be able to impersonate. I want to allow so-and-so to impersonate me from this day to that day, right? Starting today and for the next week while I'm on vacation, she's allowed to do my job. Okay. And then it expires at that point.
Nice. Great.
All right.
Well, great overview, Mike.